Yes, traders. I hope everybody's okay. I am sure everybody's doing well. So welcome back to Awesome Forex, and here is our homepage. And mainly I usually remind you to hit those buttons there. For those who are using computers, they have access to those major buttons at our homepage. But if you are using phone or you are using other device, maybe tablet, you can find those links for those buttons on video descriptions. You can have a link to one of a broker that we usually suggest, LITEFOREX. Then we'll have a link to another broker, that is TICKMILL. Then we'll have links to our social media also, so you can follow us in our social media in order to be able to get those updates, because usually we update certain information through our social media. So welcome again to Awesome Forex, and today is Saturday, and I like to share the same thing that I usually do every weekend, and it is a weekend to weekend market analysis. So I'm going to provide an outlook for the coming week, and the purpose of this video is to have an outlook on USD, on gold. We will start with gold, then we will have USD card later. So now basically on gold, last week I provided a projection, and always, yes, it has done something, but there is variation on what we were expecting, and there is variation from what we were expecting and from what has happened. So I'm going to explain now what has happened and what do we expect to happen the coming week, and why is that minor variation that has happened. So basically, I'm in a weekly time frame. Now looking in a weekly time frame, you'll find that all of our projections are in uptrend actually. Now we expect market to rise now in almost all of the wave degrees that we have presented. We expect market to rise, always to buy in gold. But always in the weekly, it is a very high time frame, so we don't expect straightforward we'll see a buy maybe in the coming week. No, so we have to move to lower time frames to see now what is expected to happen within those lower time frames, things like daily, daily, 4 hours, hourly. So we're going to see those things in the lower time frames, but I will have to keep in mind that higher time frames, they guide us to move in a bullish direction. So even in the lower time frames, a bullish direction will be mostly favored. So now this is weekly, where I cannot explain maybe anything other than a major trend or a general trend for the market. So now going down to daily time frame, I think most of the important things are seen in daily time frame. Most of the important events can be explained in a daily time frame, whereby the major outlook here always begins with, now we can start from this fourth wave, whereby the fourth wave was now completed to the upside. Now this was the first wave in a greater degree, now having 5 waves inside it. Then after that we had a correction that moved in the form of an ABC zigzag. Now this was an ABC zigzag that was completed. Now this was in the second wave in a higher degree. Then after completion of that second wave, we had another first wave in a lower degree that also was completed. So there's no problem with those moves that I'm maybe pointing there. Always those movements were completed, and they were okay with everything. But now my description specifically for my today's outlook, I will concentrate on this downward move and plus this upward move. So those two moves always will be my major concentration area, and those two moves are they are very important now in giving us our next week projection. So our next week movement depends on what's going on within those two moves. Now what we see here, those wave counts that we see here, they are from the previous week analysis, whereby in the previous weeks, now mainly it is several weeks now, in previous weeks, now we had the 1 2 3 4 5 to the downside, whereby we label this as A. Now we have this one was wave A. So having 5 wave move against the higher degree or against now the major trend. When the 5 wave moves occur against the major trend, now this is just the beginning of correction, so this will label it as wave A. So we were looking for wave B to the upside, and now mainly this took place as usual, whereby since the last candle of last week, now always it was just the completion of wave B. Now it was already completed wave B to the upside, so it started with this bearish. Now this bearish candle now was the closing candle for the last week. Now bearish candle was the closing candle for last week. So our projection was within those 1 2 3 4 5 candles. Those 5 candles were within our this week projection. So now always after having this strong bearish candle, I had 2 observations for gold for this week, whereby my first observation was, now after this strong bearish candle, I was expecting that it may strongly break this level and then it will retest and finally fall straight to the downside. That was my first observation or my first projection now for this week. So if you have not maybe watched the previous video, you can watch it to see what I said about this movement. And actually it was a 5 wave move to the downside. It was a 5 wave move. I was expecting to have the 3rd, the 4th up. Now those counts here, I was expecting them to take place right along this area now. I was expecting to have the 1 2 3 4 5 to the downside. Now that was my first outlook. And my second observation was, after having this strong bearish candle, I was expecting now the market to pull back. Now I was expecting the market to pull back but never break this level. That was my principle, always based on this upward move. The market didn't supposed to break this level. I mean the level where wave C ended, or wave B ended. Actually it didn't supposed to be broken with this upward move. So my observation was market will rise hitting this trend line. We have this white trend line, so my target was market will hit this white trend line. After hitting that trend line without breaking this previous high, then market will start to fall. So my major opinions on the market move for this week was watch. Now it was just watch for sell trades. It was watch for sell trades. All of the upward moves were correction. That was my observation. So now what market has done for this week, mainly the market was holding with the upward move for the whole week. Actually this always the kind of movement that was in domination was just a bullish direction. So now this bullish direction broken my observation, whereby it moved beyond this level where wave B or wave C ended. So it moved beyond. So moving beyond, it gives me a different observation for the market structure. But I can remain with my previous observation, but also I have got the second observation. So it has changed my previous observation, but it has added something. I have tweaked my observation, but additionally I have a new observation for the market. So in this video I'm going to show my current observation that has added to the previous observation, and then I will add a new observation that I think it is the most strong one, the most supporting. So I will talk about those 2 market projections for the coming week. But all in all of them, they show that market is going to move in a same direction. all of them, they provide a single direction for the market week, for the market move in the coming week. So now my first observation, I removed those lines there, they are useless. So if maybe you see what I said last week, now when it was moving up, now in this week we have lost some trades here. We were lost somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here. We were lost because after this downward move, then we had this upward move where we labeled it as an A, B, C to the upside. After this, after completion of this wave C to the upside, we labeled this as the second wave now. After having this second wave, actually straightforward, we took some trades here. So this week or this shadow here took us out of trades. So we lost some trades for this weekend, especially on Friday, and actually this gave us another market outlook. So now I will remove those labels that are no longer useful. I will remove those labels that are no longer useful. They are no longer useful. I will remove also, they are no longer useful. No longer useful. So after removing those things, what I want to show here is market may keep on moving to the downside. Market may keep on moving to the downside. Now it will move based on our previous outlook, but outlook will have some additional things whereby it moved to the downside. This was A, and then it moved to the upside. Now this movement to the upside has got 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if it has got 5 waves, it don't deserve to be wave B. This one don't deserve to be wave B based on the LITEFOREX market structure. So this will no longer be wave B. This will be another A, and then we'll have B to the downside, then C to the top. So completion of this wave C to the top, now this will mark wave B. So wave C to the top must move at any extent, but it's not supposed to break this level. So it must move to any extent to the upside, but it's not supposed to break this level. So after completion of this wave B, now we'll be looking for wave C to the downside. Now we'll be looking for wave C to the downside in the completion of the second wave. So now this is another observation. It is just observation based on my previous market outlook, but it has got some additional things. So it is just due to complexity of the market. It is just due to complexity of the market in a corrective mode. So it may have such kind of complexity, but always this is not much guaranteed. This is not much guaranteed. This complexity is not much guaranteed. So I'm going to provide a second market outlook that I'm sure this is going to work now. A second market outlook that I'm sure is going to work. So I remove everything that is useless. I remove everything that is useless. Maybe this one has nothing to do. So now in another observation or another market outlook in gold, we had this wave 1 to the upside, then we had this downward move. So in this outlook, I have two zigzag structures combined there. I have combination in this market move. So I have this as A, then I have B, then C to the downside. Now this is the first zigzag. Then I have got the second zigzag. The second zigzag I have this is A, B, C to the downside. So they are double zigzag here. They were double zigzag here. This observation, I have never presented it previously. I had a different outlook for this market structure, but looking it in detail, I have identified this. Looking it in detail, I have identified this. So I'm giving this as an alternative count, but it is somehow meeting most of the market, the LITEFOREX guidelines. Actually, it meets most of the LO12 guidelines. So now this will be something like this, the WXY. I expect this to be a WXY, now something like this, a WXY. So I'm changing degrees. Actually, it's very important to differentiate degrees. So this is in a greater degree. So now this downward move is just a WXY. Therefore, this means that if this is a WXY, therefore this means that this second wave was already completed now. The second wave was already completed. So we don't expect the second wave to be there again. So this was already the second wave. So if this was the second wave, if the second wave was already completed, so we can prove by using other things like Fibonacci tools. We can put things like Fibonacci tools to prove the idea of depth of correction and other things. But mainly, based on the wave count, we have completed the second wave. So what's taking place now in this upward move? What's taking place with this upward move? It is just an impasse to the upside. This is an impasse to the upside in formation of the third wave now. This is taking place in the formation of the third wave. So if this is an impasse, let us see what has already happened here. Let us understand what has already happened here. So if this second wave was completed, now we have started an impasse to the upside. We expect this to be now the first wave. Now we will have the second, the third wave, the fourth wave, the fifth wave to the upside. So we already have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. I can change color. Maybe I can change color for this, but there's no need. Maybe I can change degrees. Degrees is very important. Changing degrees is very important than color. I can use the same color but at a lower degree. I prefer to use lower degree for this because we still have other higher degrees that we can label them here. But mainly we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside, whereby this has took a form of diagonal. This has took a form of diagonal, something like this, a diagonal. So if this has took a form of diagonal, this is a leading diagonal. Now this is a leading diagonal. It is a leading diagonal within the third wave. Now a leading diagonal within a third wave, within third wave in higher degree. We need to have completion of the third wave to the top. So this leading diagonal, it is just wave number 1 now. It's just the first wave in this higher degree. So we expect to have the second wave to the downside, then you have the third wave to the top, the fourth and the fifth wave to the upside in the completion of that particular third wave. So we can add a degree for this, and then this lower degree I can put it in white, yeah, like this. So now if the market outlook is like it is in this way, now what we expect to happen in the coming week, as in my previous observation, in my previous observation I've said that we expect markets will fall, but that fall in my previous market outlook, it's just in formation of wave B to the downside. It is just information of wave B to the downside. But now what we are going to see here now, what do we expect now to take place based on this second observation? We expect market will fall also as usual. We expect now market has started this movement to the downside. It completed the fifth wave, but immediately it started the first wave to the downside. So because it was a very fast moving market, that's why it has this rejection. But this rejection comprised both the fifth wave to the top and the first wave to the downside. So we already have the first wave to the downside that probably may be already completed or not. But if we move to lower time frame, let me go to 4 hours now. Yeah, exactly, to 4 hours. We can see those movements that I'm saying here. So in 4 hours time frame, now in 4 hours time frame, I'm tweaking those things there. I'm putting them in the right position, put them there in right position. So now Now in 4 hours you will find that we had this push up. Now this one pushed up, and then at the same time the next candle pushed it down. The next candle pushed it down. So we have both movement up to the downside. But if you look it in higher time frames, you will find that it's just a weak rejection to the top. So now if it already started pushing down, it means correction already started. Now correction was already started, and this correction is to the downside, where it can now, it is just in completion of in formation. Now it is in formation of the second wave, so it may take a form of maybe zigzag. Mainly it may take the form of zigzag or flats or double zigzag or anything else. So if it started here as maybe the first wave, it may keep on pushing to the downside, and then it will correct to the upside, then it may finish to the downside with the third wave, and this will be the second wave. So it can be in any way. Now it can be in any way, it can be in any way, but mainly we expect to have an ABC to the downside, whereby this ABC to the downside mostly is expected to end at this level, a level of the second wave. Mainly based on the idea of depth of correction, it may span up to this level of the second wave, but we may add other things like Fibonacci retracement. You can use other tools like Fibonacci. Then we'll look for the major levels like 0.618 or 78% in any way, but mostly we expect this correction to move to around this area. So now that's the outlook. So what we're supposed to watch for the market movement is a downward move. So this downward move, I'm in 4 hours time frame. So what we expect, it doesn't mean it will be completed maybe straightforward within the coming week. No, in 4 hours actually it is still higher time frame now. So if we move to other lower time frames, we may find specifically what is expected to happen now. So you will find that in lower time frames, it seems like we already had some correction there. So when the market opens, it may still have some pullbacks. Yes, may have some pullbacks before it start moving to the downside. But my opinions here are, you're supposed to watch for sell trades. Sell trades, they are most supported with higher time frames. So in the lower time frames, when you see market gives you a sell setup, you have to consider it. You have to take much consideration for it. But for those who are using things like those trend lines, you can add things like trend lines there. You can have a trend line there. So some traders may wait. You see, may wait for this. It may break to the downside. It may break to the downside. Then later on, it will retest this broken trend line. Now, selling around this area will be a very comfortable area. If you are going to sell when the market has already broken this trend line, always it is a very comfortable place to take those sell trades. But some traders may take them right from this top. They may take those trades right from those tops, but it's better to wait for the breakout of this trend line, because it has been respected several times. So once it has broken and retested, it may be a very strong sell, actually, a very powerful. Mainly we're looking on a power, so it will be a very powerful sell, and usually it will be in wave C, the last wave now in the correction. So wave C usually it is strong, so it may be a very strong sell to the downside, because labeling this will have the A, B to the upside, then C to the downside like this. So it will be in wave C of the second wave. So it's better to watch for sell trades in gold from next week. So that's my outlook. Mainly I offer this for free for anyone who have access on the internet, may have access to those setups. But how to manage the setup, you have to dig deeper on your own. You have to add your own analysis techniques. in order to know what is exactly going to happen in the lower time frames, or right when the market opens. So you have to dig deeper in your own in the lower time frames. But what I provide here is just an overview. I provide an overview for the market outlook. So the idea of where are you going to take trades, where are you going out, where will you go out of trade or anything else, I don't provide those things. And this is not a trading advice, it's just my outlook. So you can add your own, you can put anything in a comment section explaining your opinions about my analysis or anything else. So thank you for your time and have a nice weekend, and I wish you the best trading week. Next week must be the best trading week for you. So thank you.